America will be here for Israel and support its right to confront this violence, this barbarism.
This week, Senator Todd Young and colleagues introduced a bipartisan resolution standing with Israel, while a group of people gathered inside the Capitol to demand the Biden administration de-escalate the violence in Gaza. Several people were placed into custody there inside the Capitol. Indiana Congressman Andre Carson posted about the protests in D.C., saying Americans were making their voices heard. He says he's leading a ceasefire now resolution with fellow representatives, calling for an immediate de-escalation and to send humanitarian assistance to Gaza. Let's bring in our panel right now to talk about the situation overseas and the situation in Congress, where the House really can't act on aid for Israel or anything until they have a new House Speaker. We're here with Adam Wren, Laura Wilson, Mike Murphy, and Lara Beck. And Laura, I'll start with you as we talk about the news there in D.C. this week. The president speaking to the nation about the wars in Israel and Ukraine, as Republicans in Congress still haven't been able to elect a House Speaker, which they need to do to act on any of these requests the president is making for aid for our allies.
And, you know, originally we wondered if it was just uncertainty. It moves increasingly to chaos, not having leadership. You need 217 votes, and it seems whether you're Jim Jordan, Steve Scalise, nobody can get that. I think it has to be really intimidating for potential candidates, too, to look at what happened to the previous guy in the post, and you think, well, that's very plausible. That could happen to me, too. And meanwhile, there's so much that we can't get done. And I think there is an emphasis at looking at Patrick McHenry. Would we potentially allow him to do more as interim speaker? But anytime you change those rules, you're changing a lot of things there. He hasn't declared he wants it even. Right. So it's truly chaotic.
And Adam, it's been interesting to watch the reaction of Indiana representatives this past week. We certainly saw Jim Banks saying that he was adamantly against the idea of elevating the temporary speaker, Patrick McHenry. You know, Banks is an interesting figure in all of this. If not for his Senate run, he might be someone right now that the party would be turning to as a potential candidate for speaker.
Yeah, that's sort of what I've been thinking about all week. You wonder if he's got a little twinge of regret when it comes to that. You know, he's someone who led the largest caucus in the House and could have potentially been a unity candidate.
Mike, more broadly here, how do you see this playing out from here? Who do Republicans turn to now after Jim Jordan? And even if there is a new speaker soon, are we just going to see the same process play out over and over again in your party?
Well, I hope not. I hope they get back to the rule that says, you know, you can't just be one person, you know, filing a motion to vacate the chair. But this has happened many times in history. You know, 1860, Lincoln was nominated because he was the only, quote, electable person. He wasn't too much of an abolitionist, and he wasn't too much of a pro-slavery guy.
But we haven't seen it go to like this many votes with McCarthy since 1860.
Well,
really.
It could be. I don't know. I have to go back and look. But the fact is, we need an electable person, somebody who's going to have a conservative, a right-of-center conservative who also has pragmatism and knows how to listen. Right now, it's just a clown car.
Laura, how do you see this from across the aisle?
Well, I think what has become abundantly clear is that there are Republicans in that Republican caucus who did not go to Washington, D.C. to govern. They basically came to burn down the system. And while they are trying to burn down the system, trying to become famous, trying to become the next Kardashian, we are literally sitting at the precipice of a global calamity. And the rest of the world is looking to us for how we are going to lead and how we're going to go about doing that. And they, as Mike said, are literally getting out of a clown car in a circular firing squad.
Meantime, we're also talking this week about the race for president. Mike Pence and his campaign really struggling here by all indications. Adam, you reported on this recently for Politico. The campaign with just $1.2 million on hand, cash on hand, some significant debt already, and it's a pretty interesting juxtaposition locally to the race for mayor in Indianapolis, where you also broke the news for Importantville that mayoral candidate Jefferson Shreve would be posting a total of $14 million raised ahead of the election. A lot of it his own money, but with $3 million on hand, it's certainly fascinating to see him and really essentially both candidates for mayor in Indianapolis outpacing a presidential candidate from our state in terms of the campaign cash that they have on hand right now.
Yeah, it's just wild to have covered both Pete Buttigieg's presidential campaign when he was running as the incumbent mayor of South Bend and Mike Pence's when he's running as the most former GOP vice president. He's really struggling to raise money. And, you know, Shreve donated to Mike Pence earlier this year. Yeah. You know, maybe he could float him a little bit more cash if things don't work out for his mayor run. But Mike Pence could use it, and it's difficult difficult to see if he does not qualify for the November 8th debate. He's hit the polling threshold, but not the 70,000 donor threshold. It's difficult to see how he goes forward from this moment.
Laura, no doubt we've seen the impact of that campaign spending in the mayor's race here in Indianapolis, with both the mayor and Jefferson Shreve really on the air nonstop. With campaign ads, whether voters like it or not at this point.
Yeah, and if you think of money, think of competition. It's not a perfect correlation, but the reason why the mayor's race is so expensive is it seems to be the most competitive we've had for several cycles, quite frankly. And both candidates are spending a lot of money, they're fundraising or giving themselves a lot of money, but I think they both see this as a real opportunity, and especially as we start to see early voting happen and in the days and weeks up to election, this could be very competitive, and I think that's an indicator.
And so we've got this debate on the air here in studio Thursday night between the mayor and his opponent, Mike, one of two debates they'll be doing here this week. What are you watching for in these debates, and what will it take for Jefferson Shreve to pull off an upset on election night?
Well, first of all, I think that Jefferson has to continue to differentiate himself from Hogsett. He can't try to be like Mini Joe, which happened with his public safety plan, for example. He's got to be his own person. He's a very, very bright guy. I talked to a very well-known Democratic lobbyist at a fundraiser just a few nights ago. He said it could be close. He said, I don't know a single Democrat who's excited about Joe Hogsett in a third term.
Laura, what's your reaction to that, and what will you be watching for in these debates this week?
Well, when you look at the money and how the money came in, I mean, giving yourself $13.5 million, really, you weren't really much of a man of the people when you're running for the mayor of Indianapolis. And people in Indianapolis like to know their mayor. They like to feel comfortable with them. This isn't Greg Ballard, for example, who really could connect with voters. The other part about that is, and I think this is worth mentioning, 7% of the money that he raised came from people other than himself. So when you look at a person's campaign finance report and who they gave money and who they got money from, Mayor Hogsett is bringing in small dollar donations, he's bringing in large ones, but that is not a groundswell of support from the donor community, in my opinion. And when you look at the debates, I mean, I think Mayor Hogsett's a really good debater. He's excellent when it comes down to that. He knows his stuff, and I think he's going to be formidable on that stage.
And again, you can watch that final mayoral debate between Hogsett and Shreve right here this coming Thursday night, October 26th. You can submit questions as well on our website. Stick around. We're back with much more right after this. On this week's edition of In Focus, we'll talk about roads as state lawmakers discuss traffic safety. But are Indiana's numbers getting better or worse? We'll take a closer look up next.